Everybody in the whole wide world really just needs to chill.
You just brought me back, Oliver, with that question. You just brought me back to how it all played out for me. But yeah, the nickname, yeah, sure, man. The handle, Rick the Temp, I love it. Like, I love it to this day. People will still call me Rick the Temp. Sometimes they get the first name wrong, Mark the Temp, whatever they're gonna say, but it's always the Temp. And and I joke, and I'm gonna have that on my gravestone one day. It's like, here lies Rick the Temp. But it's, you know, there are worse.
That's kind of appropriate because life is temporary. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, man, it's been a beautiful run, and no regrets at all. I've loved every minute of the last 26 years or so. It's been amazing. It really has, man.
Well, that was George told me about the name The Franchise, which I wasn't familiar with. And then he also said, I think Ricky Wildcat or something like that.
I think T gave me the Ricky Young Cat.
Oh, there you go.
Master T, Tony Young. I still keep in touch with Tony to this day. We play soccer together some days when our old bodies can hack it. But yeah, I believe it was George who gave me the name The Franchise. I don't. That's a beautiful name. It's a generous name. I guess because George and I think Brad started using it as well. I guess they thought I was going to be a lifer over there at MuchMusic. But when you start having babies, Oliver, it's like, how can this person be a MuchMusic VJ? They're having babies. I think it's time to move along. And I started having babies, so that was the beginning of the end for me at Much after having kids. So yeah, that was a good run too, from 94 winning the contest up until 2005 when I joined on with ET Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, you made me think of something, because when you said they tried to call you and your dad had unplugged all the phones, I was watching a bunch of clips on YouTube of your stuff last night. And there was one Munch Access that you did in 99, and you had like blonde hair, and you were trying to give some guy a present, and his dad was like, I'm on the other line. It's the funniest shit.
Technology back then, so basic, so
what
primitive.
Can you do?
You know, look what the young generation has to work with now. This stuff is amazing. And us too, generation dealing. This technology that we have these days, man, kids these days could never survive what we survived back in the 80s and 90s. It's like, you didn't have these luxuries.
But I don't know if that's a good thing. This is one of the questions I was going to ask you, because MuchMusic and MTV, they kind of changed into completely different beings after a while. You know, MTV became a reality TV thing. Much plays like comedy stuff now. But just like, do you think that the kids nowadays are missing out on that, having to wait around to see their favorite video or their favorite show? You know, it's just so.
I don't even think they know what that feeling feels like.
Yeah.
You know, anticipating something, because everything's so there at our fingertips and so instant. Like, I was talking to
patience is a virtue, right?
Patience is a virtue. Yes, sir. I was talking about this to someone the other day. I used to love the whole visual element and aspect of an album or a CD, the liner notes, the pictures, going through something with my own fingers and feeling it and touching it and smelling the brand newness of it. And I used to, you know, cause bands would say, okay, our album's going to be out in 3 months or whatever it is. We're just working on it right now. So on my calendar, I'd mark down the days to when that Nirvana album was coming out, or that Pearl Jam album or Foo Fighters album was coming out. It was like, well, I guess it wouldn't be Foo Fighters because they're, you know, more Nirvana, more Chili Peppers, I guess.
Well, no, because even Foo Fighters, like I felt the same way. I didn't really get vinyls.
I guess they were on the cusp, yeah.
But CDs were kind of the same way. I like the liner notes and just knowing like, hey, this is what the band wanted me, the customer, to have. This is their artwork, you know, the way they wanted it delivered.
In a way, it was a personalized thing, I felt. Yeah. Even though, you know, millions of other people around the world were reading those same liner notes and feeling those same pieces of paper, but it felt so personal to me.
Yeah, you felt a connection
because
with
we
the
had
artist.
a connection with that artist, with their music, and then to receive something at the local record shop. Those moments that we got to experience and this generation doesn't, those moments are precious, man. Those are, I can't describe the feeling
Yeah.
And you're right. This generation, you know, they're getting their things done their way, and that's cool. Like that's
okay,
cool. Yeah. They'll just never know. They have joys and they experience things, and they have precious scenarios that they go through. We just went through some different ones that made you feel amazing inside. You know, you'll never forget those feelings.
And and every generation has stuff like that. Like when I grew up, I could go rent a movie if I wanted to see it, but I would talk to my dad, and he's like, when we were kids, if you didn't see it in the theater, you were kind of screwed until they played it on TV 10 years later or whatever, you know?
That's right. So, with commercials. Yeah, that's
exactly.
so true.
And maybe they censor out the swearing.
It's so true. So every generation goes through different things and experiences, but I do feel this generation and how we're living in 2020, there's just way too much coming
intense.
at us. It's intense.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it works me up. I get too anxious when there's too much thrown at me.
Yeah.
I don't need that pressure. It's too complex. It's too overwhelming.